If you've got the knowledge of how to live here, this environment is one of the last remaining Gardens of Eden on Earth.
Visible from space, the Great Rift Valley extends from Mozambique through East Africa into Turkey, over 6,000 miles in length. Massive tectonic movements have buckled the Earth's crust, giving the dramatic scenery which is characteristic of Tanzania.
Here in the spectacular region of Lake Eyasi in Tanzania, some of the most important clues to the evolution of our species have been uncovered. This is the Olduvai Gorge, which for millions of years has borne silent witness to the changing fortunes of humankind. But it's only in the last century that we've really started to piece together the clues the gorge has to offer. Skull fragments, stone tools and other fossils have revolutionized the way we think about our origins. For me, the most intriguing of these clues are a set of footprints left here in volcanic ash over 3.5 million years ago. In a way, all of our footprints can be traced back to that ancient trail, but of course we haven't all walked in the same direction. These footprints belong to a people who've taken a totally different path, the Hadza.
Numbering less than 1,000 people, they inhabit the lands around Lake Eyasi, an area of 1,000 square miles. The Hadza are one of the few tribes of true hunter-gatherers left in the world. In this semi-arid bushland, the bulk of their food is obtained by collecting berries, roots, and honey from wild bees. But the most prized food source is meat, and the Hadza love to hunt. They see Dik-Dik. They give thanks for their kill. For thousands of years, the Hadza have lived in harmony with their environment, taking from it only what they need. If a man kills a small animal like this Dik-Dik, he will share it with the people he happens to be with at the time. If he kills a large animal like a buffalo, then the Hadza will up camp and move to the kill. It's easier. The Hadza have no chiefs or headmen, and this allows for a high degree of mobility. Anyone can live, hunt and gather wherever he or she chooses.
Rock outcrops like this are called kekatetehe, and they're important places for the Hadza, enabling them to look out for wild game and approaching strangers. This one is particularly important because it's also the burial site of a man called Washima, who's remembered as being a great hunter and the father of many children. And the land round here is the perfect place to build your house, or as the Hadza call it, etako.
The women are strong, independent, and highly skilled. They have to be. They build the huts. And although they marry and have children, they are in control of their own lives. They intertwine branches to make a beehive-shaped frame, which is covered with grass. The whole process only takes about 2 hours. The Hadza live in small nomadic groups and have hardly any possessions. They move camp every few weeks for a number of reasons: death or illness, a shortage of water, to avoid the build-up of vermin, or just the feeling that living in one place for too long is bad. She's also told me that this fireplace isn't just for cooking, it's for protection, helping to keep out any dangerous animals.
This is the village of Sonola, and like most Hadza villages, there's a tremendous sense of togetherness here. The people enjoy each other's company, spend a lot of time together, sharing their possessions and their food willingly. While the men take care of hunting matters, the women spend a lot of time collecting and preparing food. Although chores often simply become social events. The children here experience almost unlimited freedom, although by necessity they have to become extremely self-reliant.
They begin to forage from an early age, learning which berries and roots are good to eat.
Ayako, boko ako pakapa ako. Funde siya itachana oranak. Isu tisi so tsaita masarako. So abami chita siya kadziko kweso abami chita siya. Kweso koo isu chiya. Kwe kwani akwiti na kwi eko tsapare ikuchi.
From the age of 2, boys start to practice on butterflies and insects, gradually becoming more adept and competing with each other around the camp. By 10, they're shooting a fair amount of meat, such as birds, small mammals, and reptiles.
Siminiko, ngobabe, pamoja, and ekwa. Ashungu. Limibii, kadzikuicha, kakachana, isito tamanako, isidzata, bamiya mupumuziko icha limibii.
Since the 1920s, there have been several attempts to encourage the Hadza to live in permanent settlements and become farm labourers. These attempts failed as the majority of the Hadza prefer to return to the bush and continue their traditional lifestyle, which benefits them with a diet that is varied and nutritious. While they sometimes experience hunger, they have never known famine. This is a typical Hadza meal. The women will share the food amongst everybody. They chew the root to soften it before giving it to the youngest children. The Hadza are joyful people and like to dance. They'll dance if there's food, they'll dance if they're hungry. They'll dance if there's a sickness or there's good fortune. It bonds them together, and they will walk for miles to join the dance. They're resourceful and adaptable. Loving colour, they use whatever's available for decoration, even bits of old plastic.
Kadzikosa uchobuni yako talaka apota hako mana mbugushi yakucha chemena kwebe.
The men here have invited me to make a walk with them to another camp. Now that's about 60 kilometers straight through the bush, so they're insisting that, like the children, I should also be self-reliant. And they say they're going to make me a bow and arrow for my protection, and in just one day.
Magenga is cutting the branch from the musuk tree to make the bow. He scrapes off the bark and shapes the wood. To support the bowstring at the base, he's tying on a piece of old cloth, and then at the top he uses a strip of bark from the emberico tree. He's using an old bowstring made from the neck ligament of a large animal. He bends the bow with his knee to get the tension right and ties a very distinctive knot that the Hadza always use. Now he's making me an arrow, and as any archer knows, that's even more difficult than a bow. He makes a nock which fits the bowstring and then straightens it. Guinea fowl wing or tail feathers provide the fletching. By softening some ligament in his mouth, it becomes self-adhesive, and he uses this to attach the feathers. He roughens the point of the arrow to receive the barb. And again, this is tied on with ligament.
Well, that's quite incredible. I've been watching this now most of the day, and that's all it's taken for this man to make this bow and this arrow, which is barbed and intended for getting birds. And just with a knife, he's been able to fashion this beautiful arrow. Thank you, Nubea. Thank you. Don't try it. The Hadza don't need maps and compasses because they know this land intimately, having walked every single inch of it. For me, it's a real pleasure to be able to walk with them and see it through their eyes. Guys have been telling me that rivers like this crisscross their territory, and that when the rains come, they can flood from dry beds to torrents in minutes and just as quickly fall again. Fortunately, though, some of the water gets trapped in the river bed, where it can be accessed at permanent pools during times of drought. That's important to the Hadza and to the wildlife. But now, those pools are drying up as they're drained by wells dug by the herders for their cattle. What's more, those wells are themselves a danger. Animals the size of zebra have been known to fall into them and drown while trying to drink.
Kila kalimo kua manako kua ati buch ukwa iyami ati kikia kila I atato gabi. Kwa sababu isha yako badabi iku isha kwa pi atibi. Chete bek au kwa manako ta isha bek au kwa mana mo bek be isha bek au be isha bek au be tik nature atibi. Ko tashi atibi tinko.
Is that what you've dragged me up here for? This is Klahako, yeah? You can see how far I've come. That is Lake Iasi in the distance, and the guys have dragged me all the way up here just for this. This is what they use to make their fire drill. So the working end is the thick end, and that has to be carved quite neatly. And then the bark is removed. You can see this stick is still quite green. It has to be allowed to dry out before it can be used. So why do they go to such lengths to get this stick? Well, the reason is it's of a superior wood. Most people in the world who use the hand drill for fire lighting prepare everything. The drill, like I'm making, and the piece that it's going to drill in, and then carry both of those bits with them. Because this drill is so good that they can go to almost any tree, break off a dead branch and make fire.
Guido and I set up camp for the night. Fire is the first priority, as it will give us warmth and protection. This is snake and big cat country. The others are off doing what they like best: hunting. It's a matter of prestige to use a powerful bow. They can be about 5 feet long and require a pull of over 100 pounds. And like bow hunters everywhere, the Hadza rely on their ability to stalk close to their prey. These impala get away, but they didn't come back empty-handed. Dik-dik are a small antelope, still abundant in this area where other game is disappearing. Over centuries, the Hadza have assimilated an astonishing knowledge of their environment's potential. This amazing plant is called the desert rose, or panjube in Hadza. It's lethal. This is one of the few places it grows. They come here to prepare their arrows to hunt larger game.
This poison is now ready, and he's forming the poison behind the barb of the arrow. Thank you. There we are. It's finished. Guido's told me that this poison that he's made today is particularly strong and it's extremely dangerous. Before he moulded it, he carefully checked that his fingers had no cuts on them, because if this poison got into any cuts, even a small one, he'd probably die. Now, when this is in use and an animal's been shot with it and died, they have to be very careful to cut out the meat surrounding the wound so that nobody becomes poisoned. The only problem with this poison is it's extremely fragile. It's very easily damaged by moisture or from being knocked. So now that he's put it on, he has to wrap it up with leather to protect it. The Hadza call these oases kulikuako, and they're full of palm trees. Each one of these palm trees is holding about 200 fruit. That's an awful lot of food for the Hadza. I feel like a vandal in the Garden of Eden. Yes. That's amazing, that's delicious. It tastes just like sort of a dried ginger cake. In Hadza, they call it menyangupe. Well, Sabina, this is one of the most unusual and one of the most delicious fruits I've ever eaten. This is Leopard Hill. It gets its name from an old Hadza story about a group that came up here once looking for food. Well, there wasn't any. Well, one of the group, an old man, was a bit stubborn and very tired, decided he'd stay up here for the night on his own. The problem is, there was a leopard up here with the same idea, and it ate him. But whatever, this hill is a fantastic sight. It's a landmark that means I'm almost at Angola. I can tell you, that's a really welcome sight.
Ray, ama ya muama wa inama ubite Hadza be. Ikama iso
It's a sad story to end our journey. Guido says, we were happy here, but then other people came and cut down the trees for farms. Their goats and cows have eaten the grass, and now all the animals from God have run away, and now we have no food. However, they live in hope.
From the outside, the Hadza may appear incredibly primitive, but in fact, they're anything but. In my time here, I've come to realise that they know this land better than anyone, and that they've developed a sophisticated knowledge that enables them to live here in harmony with the land and its animals. Skills which bring them immense freedom and happiness. But despite being some of the poorest people on earth, they have joy and liberty, values which our money simply can't buy.